All those countries who were sacrificed and who were on heaven's side are those sorrowful spirits who were sacrificed for the Providence. We'll wish to establish this ideal country and world. Number 3. God's search for the ideal country. We all know that since the fall of mankind to the present, our history has been the history of evil. We also know that this history has not been governed by God but by Satan. The ruler of this world is supposed to be God, but it is not. If the family had considered or consisted of children who were connected to God through love, then with these families as the center, the nation, country, and world would have been governed by God. Then God would have been able to govern the world, the country, the family, and the individual. Due to the fall, the whole world became the enemy of God, and that has been the history of our world. God has always been guiding the fallen world towards His original ideal. The world has been full of fallen countries, and yet no place has been found for God to reside. The country of God's desire has not been established. Still, God continues to influence and guide and move throughout history to establish the ideal country while humanity has remained ignorant of what He has been doing. God has had one desire, and that is to lead the family, society, nation, and world through one perfected individual. That is why He created Adam and raised him to reach perfection. Since the fall of Adam, however, God's original history was disrupted. The continuous effort to save and correct that disruption is the history of restoration. Since Adam was the ancestor of mankind, then the loss of Adam corresponds to the loss of the whole. We have no choice but to revive or recreate Adam. The one who can be a substitute for Adam should be the one who can sacrifice his race, his nation, working only for the sake of God's providence. Noah, though he belonged to a certain race, did not want to belong to only one. Though he belonged to a country, he rather freely searched for his ideal country. To do this, he has to struggle through all kinds of trials and adversities. Noah had his own family and people, but he was more concerned about God's providence. God's desire to create a righteous way of life and to save the country. Just imagine the painful situations that Noah had to face and overcome through his 120-year course. His family deserted him, and he faced so much persecution and blame. Yet he remained faithful to God's providence. He knew the principle that before we eat or drink, we must work to save the country. Now it's 5:30 and there's still about a page that we need to read. Reverend Oliver, should I continue? We're now on page 467. So this is God's search for the ideal country. Okay. So I just read one more page. Later God appointed Abraham and Sarah and had them leave the land of Chaldeans. They did not know that Haran was the place they would live. They just left with an attitude of pure faith and obedience. Sarah, even when she was taken by Pharaoh, did not reproach Abraham. Yes?
Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, Ronald. Their hearts, while headed for the land of hope, did not alter in the face of all these ordeals. Jacob as well had such a strong faith in the promised land, in the promised people, in the blessings of God had bestowed upon him, but no one was able to discourage his strong faith. So as you can see, the providence expanded from the individual level to the family level to the national and worldwide level. Jesus was not trusted by his own people, the Israelites, and so became a wanderer without a country, and therefore could not accomplish the unity between the body and soul. The Messiah is the one who comes with a mission to break down the barriers between or separating heaven and earth and unite them into one. The ideal country should be organized centering upon heavenly laws. This is God's providence. The desire that God has instilled in Adam was not only within Adam or the individual, but also in the formation of family, race, nation, and country. The country that Jesus had cherished so much and tried to establish was not established due to the distrust of the Israelites. As a result, Israel perished. The purpose of the second coming of the Messiah is to complete Adam's mission and fulfill the mission of Jesus as well. That is, the completion of the purpose of the race, nation, and world. God, by sending his beloved sons and daughters on earth, has been progressing to establish one absolute country. However, at the present time, there is no foundation to restore one country. Still, after each failure, God continued to send people to promote and establish one absolute country. The history of restoration is a vertical one, if viewed from a national standard. Therefore, judging from the present national standard, we can tell that if a country can be the foundation to expand to the worldwide level, up until now, since our history has been one which has been trying to raise its standard up. When we failed, we have to fall back to the bottom, only to re-indemnify our past failures. God's principle is that we have to appreciate God even if we have to sacrifice ourselves, our families, and our people. Furthermore, we should be ready to sacrifice our nation and our country to appreciate God. The world can only be saved through an ideal country. If the ideal country does not emerge, then the sacrifice of individuals, families, and the sacrifices of one's race will continue. We're now on page 468. Likewise, God has continued throughout history to search for the ideal country. Therefore, he is looking for the individual who can think about and work for that country. Today, we can ask ourselves, why were we born? The answer is to love the ideal country. The purpose of God's providence is to love the ideal country. So that ends our Hoon Dok Hae, and tomorrow we'll read number 4, Jesus and His Country, on page 468. And today we start a new chapter, a new topic, on page 463. Section 1, God's Providence and Search for the Ideal Country. So is there anybody who wants to share about our reading today? Anyone who wants to share?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Eva-san.
So much. So, I came a bit late on, but I'm really moved, because Father talked about the country, I don't know when to speak for Stephen. I think, how long ago, but, I was always, I just want to read one quote in it. God's principle is to appreciate God, we have to sacrifice ourselves, our families, and our people. We should be ready to sacrifice our needs and our country to appreciate God. The world can only be saved through an ideal country. If the ideal country does not emerge, then the sacrifice of individuals, families, and the sacrifice of one's race will continue. So why were we born? The answer is to love the ideal country. I know we fathers trying to Korea, I think fathers, that's what I remember many times, which is the country father should focus on. I remember father one time went to South America, right, Brazil, father was trying to, go to South, but anyway, I think father returned back to Korea, father chose this country. And, and it just really, shows me really the importance, of this country. And, Father gives so many reasons. I've never been so much thinking about, I always think about the family. Father, in late years, Father, we always talk about the family is the ideal, is where the kingdom of heaven begins, So I've been mostly focusing on how to, make my family, where God can dwell, but I can really see further, the family cannot live if there is no environment like the country where the tradition of the family can continue, So, I think for me, really, Father said, if you don't have a country, so much sacrifice will continue, and I think we are our church, we're also going, through so many difficulties, because we don't have this real, yes, sovereignty, where God, God can settle, So, I just want to say that for me, it's been really very, I'm so grateful, to read this, because I have to really expand more my vision, family, yes, the family, but the family has to live in an environment where the tradition of the family, tradition of God can be sustained. So it was really, I'm so grateful to read this. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Eva-san. Anybody else?
Good morning, this is Diane. Just for a brief statement, it is so important and so amazing continuously the Father wants us to create an ideal nation, that we must do that, and really he means ideal world, and one culture, one world culture, one language, and one people. We know that we're working towards this, striving every moment in our spiritual life to attain this kind of a blessing with the three blessings that we can accomplish. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Diane. Anyone else who wants to share? So on page 463, on the third or fourth paragraph, the world has become an evil place. That is why God has been searching for a special country at this time. Among Satan's countries, there are some that he is more proud than others, right? Which countries are the ones Satan loves most? The communist countries. Therefore, in the last days, if God cannot manage to establish even one country that can follow God's will, and he can be proud of in front of Satan, then God would be called incompetent. So God would be more incompetent than Satan. So this fallen world is in the midst of grief, and there's no lasting joy to be found. So our world has seen a history of grief and a history of disappointment and history of sin. So at the end of this paragraph on page 464, in this present time, what we must do is find the ideal nation. We know that there's no country that has realized God's will. So we can say that we truly have a home. There are no true homes. The Japanese can say that they live in Japan, but from God's perspective, since God has no country and no sovereignty, then no one can be registered as God's people. So I think this is before Chongyal-guk. But right now, everybody registered in Foundation Day. And of course, the ideal country is where Father died, And is there anybody else who wants to share about our reading today? So if there's none, let's all rise and have unison prayer. Our most beloved Heavenly Parents, we're so grateful for this reading today, the search for our ideal country. We pray that
for your present experience throughout history.
Now that the second coming has already been fulfilled, we pray that more people will know your history and the establishment of a true family, a true society, a true nation. We pray that we can all connect to this family. And we pray that there are many challenges our Heavenly Parents can identify many years, so like 6,000 years in this true family. And we pray for all the blessed families all over the world, the ones that our true Father has blessed and our true Mother has blessed in many occasions in our holy blessing ceremonies. We pray that more and more people will join us so that we can bring a better future to all our descendants. And we pray that there will be lasting peace after we unite North and South Korea. And we pray for each other's success. We pray for whatever things that we need to even gain liberty. We pray that we can overcome it, and we pray for the success of everyone, that we can fulfill our debts and obligations on time, ahead of time, and we pray all this in all our names and in my name. Athanasius Francis C. Catalan, blessed central family, our Jew, our Jew, our Jew. Uri sonen om you, numero sonen tom you, imo son bacio sotom you, tom you ora. Yo es salida tom 인알아찬데 Good morning to you, our beloved true parents of heaven and humankind. Good morning to the true children. Good morning to all brothers and sisters here and all over the world. Good morning. Good morning. Morning, Nita. Morning, Diane, Eva and Oliver. Everybody there.
Thank you. Good morning to you. Just a quick announcement.
Morning.
Good morning.
Interfaith Passover Seder tonight at 6 at the Georgetown Law Center, if anyone would like to attend. Interfaith Passover meal Seder, if you wish to attend. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Diane. Yeah.
All right, good morning. God bless everyone.
Yes, have a nice trip there, Reverend Oliver, to New York.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. And have
Where
a
is
warm...
Reverend Oliver now?
Yeah, on his way to New York, Diane. So have a warm and nice Tuesday.
Wonderful day.
Yeah, 60 degrees outside today. Yeah. Have a great day. Bye-bye.